All right. So today we're going to be talking about my favorite topic, which is vitality. And I'm going to be speaking about this topic of vitality through my experience and my own understanding, as everybody's going to have a little bit different of, their own understanding and experience of what vitality is and what it means to them. And my background, this is something that's really taken me a long time to really understand. And it feels like it's going to be a forever journey of actually mastering. My background is my background is in weight loss, kind of bodybuilding, physique, um, aesthetics, and also performance, like being a professional athlete with CrossFit. And, I think that having that experience helps me understand what vitality actually is, because I've been able to live through the experience of what vitality is not. And I've really gone to basically definitely the farthest extremes of those, right? I took bodybuilding to the utmost extreme. I mean, I just got so shredded and starved myself and deprived myself and, just yeah, really took it to the nth degree with that. And same with performance. When I was competing in CrossFit, it was my obsession. Just like with bodybuilding, it was just my obsession to win. It was my obsession to be the best. So I've really experienced what each one, what weight loss is like, that path, what performance is like, and what I realized after achieving both of those and not feeling good, after reaching the pinnacle, of both of those avenues. I realized that, it wasn't what I was looking for. What I wanted was actually vitality, and that's where I started to that became my goal. And this really started when I hit about 30 years old. Did I realize, like, okay, I'm done with competing. I'm tired of forcing myself. I'm tired of depriving myself. I'm tired of feeling tired all the time. I just want to feel good. I want to have freedom to, go out and do camping trips and go out on trips and, like, not worry if I get my workout in, but I also want to stay fit. I don't want to have to, like, follow a plan or track macros or count calories or any of that nonsense. I wanted none of that. I just wanted to be fit and live a very freeing lifestyle. And so yeah, and so what I think will be really helpful for me or for you guys is for me to start off by talking about what vitality is not, because a lot of us, who are, I mean, maybe not, but many people come to this avenue of vitality after experiencing that weight loss isn't what I want and performance isn't what I want. And so what vitality is not those things. So I want to talk about what vitality is not, because number one, it is not a look. Okay, so it's not a look, and it's also not a performance. So this was something that has been really hard for me to really kind of like allow myself to be okay with, because for the longest time of my life, like, I was so attached to looking a certain way. I was so attached to being lean and, like, just having like toned arms and, kind of like a flat stomach with, like, a little bit of abs. So this is one of the biggest challenges that I had when switching from performance and aesthetics and going into vitality, is realizing that I had to let go of what like of the image of what I was attracted to. Okay. And I'm not saying that you can't be lean when you are taking a vitality based approach. You absolutely can. And that's really the journey of like, that's what I'm, on that journey of, is like, I'm just trying to master that. But the thing is that vitality does not come from a certain look. It doesn't come from a certain amount of strength, like how much, you can lift. It doesn't come from endurance, like how any sort of endurance measures, speed or leanness or muscle. It doesn't come from any of those measurement aspects. And so you can't put a visual on vitality. So vitality doesn't look a certain way, right? It doesn't mean that you're lean, although, vitality naturally, like when you are taking a vitality based approach and you're eating healthy, you're moving because you want to feel good, you will naturally be healthier. But it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be a certain leanness. Yes, it's likely that you will have lower body fat levels just because of the genuine desire of wanting to take the best care of yourself and feel good. But as soon as you start to put an image, a visual on what vitality, like what you want to look like, and or what vitality should look like, that's when you are no longer in the vitality based approach. Okay, because that's when you start to go against your feelings to achieve that certain image, right? And this is something that we're so used to, for those of us that have experience with diets and with sports, like performance kind of um, based activities, is that a lot of times we got attracted to the numbers, right? We got attracted to be saying, oh, I'm this strong or I'm this fast, or yeah, like looking, we get attracted to the way it looks when we diet, right? We like the way our stomach looks, and how lean our arms look and our legs look and all the creases and the muscle indentations. So that is not going to serve you when it comes to vitality, because all of those things require you to ignore your feelings in order to achieve that image, in order to achieve that level of performance. Okay. um Again, it's not to say that you can't be lean or fast or strong or have muscle, because you absolutely can. It's just making sure that you don't make that the focus, because as soon as you do, like I said, then you're just doing another diet, or you're just trying to um, like achieve some type of measurement or outcome through performance stuff. So it's not a look. And number two, it's not performance, right? It's not a performance. So again, it's not being an athlete. Okay. People who compete and push their body to extremes, such as athletes, will not, they may look great and they may look strong and like they have a lot of energy. They may appear that way, but that is not an embodiment of health. It's not a good reflection of health or vitality. Because pushing themselves to achieve those outcomes, those performance based outcomes, means that they need to neglect how they feel on a daily basis. It's no longer about, oh, how do I feel? And I'm going to, move my body and eat in a way based on how I feel. It's more like, this is the plan. This is what I need to do to achieve this outcome. And I've got to, it doesn't matter how I feel, it's got to get done, right? If I'm going to achieve this, I've got to do that. And that's just kind of the way it is, I mean, like when it comes to performance, like that's the mentality you got to have. If you want to win, or if you want to achieve a certain goal, you have to really, drop the way that you feel, and just, hunker down and, discipline and willpower and force yourself to get it done and all of that, right? And then what happens is, you achieve that outcome, and then you realize, oh, you're happy for like 5 minutes or something, and then it's like, okay, what's next? So it's like it never ends, right? And that's where I was at. Is I got to a point where I was like, okay, like this isn't creating what I thought it was going to create. I thought that going to the CrossFit Games was going to like just make me super happy, and it was going to make me feel like super loved, right? Because I'd have all these sponsorships and everybody wanted to follow me and take, just like they looked up to me, and I thought like that was going to be just everything that I wanted, And I also thought that achieving, like being super shredded, like I thought once I have that, I'm going to just like, life's going to be amazing. I'm going to be happy all the time. Like, it like, no, no, it was not like that at all. And so, And we all really learn that, I think, just by going through it. Nobody could have told me to not do that, and it won't give you, I mean, actually lots of people told me that it wasn't going to give me happiness, and I was like, well, whatever. I'll let me figure this out, because I think it will. So yeah, so that's what vitality is not, right? It's not a look and it's not a performance. So what is vitality? Vitality is a feeling, okay? Like vitality is a feeling of life. Vitality is a feeling of just like life pulsing through you, like energy. It feels like invigoration. It feels like a passion for life. It feels like contentment. It feels like ease. It feels like just happiness. It feels like nourishment. It feels like flow. Uh, it just feels like, to me, for me, it feels like perfect, right? It feels like everything that I want. It feels like balance. And that's the biggest thing, right? It feels like balance. I never feel like I'm going against my feelings. And so therefore I always feel good, right? And it also feels like health. It feels like I'm just healthy, like healthy, like strong and energized. And some days I don't have that much energy, but that's just like the normal body, right? Like, ideally, like I'm taking care of myself to the best degree so that I have as much energy as I can. But sometimes there's just, um, with whatever's going on in life, or, just um, the moon phases, your hormones, stuff like that. Like it's just natural for the body to just kind of have its ebb and flows, right? But you're never going against your feelings. So it's like, even if I'm tired, I wouldn't force myself to work out. Instead I would give myself what I need to revitalize my energy to feel good, as opposed to forcing myself to the gym, or same with like eating. It's like, maybe I'm just super hungry today. And instead of forcing myself to like follow a plan or not eat as much or like fast X hours, it's like I listen to that. So it's like you let go of all this control. You let go of all this, like just, I can't even, I don't even want to go back into it, but like all that, like that noise in the head of like what I need to do, what I should do, how much I should eat, when I should eat it, like how I should work out, how hard I should work out, how long. Like you just get rid of all of that, which is, for me, there was so much that was like filling my head so much. Like my mind, that's like all it probably consumed like 80% of my life, like that way of thinking. And when I got rid of that, it was like, oh, like for those of you guys that are like women, it's like taking off a really tight bra. Or for guys, maybe it's like, maybe you got like really small shoes on, it's like you're taking off, like, oh, like if you guys ski, it's like taking off a ski boot. It's like, it's just like, oh, this feels so good. um so that's like what it feels like, is to go into vitality. It's a feeling of peak health, peak energy, peak life, of peak balance. And it only comes from paying attention to how you feel at all times, right? And developing the trust to give yourself what you need when you need it, so that you can maintain this peak state of vitality. Okay. So that's a little bit about what it's not and what it is. Now, what does it kind of look like is what I really want to get inside of, because this is really important. So first off, like if we're going to compare the two, like weight loss and performance measures, right? Performance, like, I'm trying to, I don't know, like run a marathon, or, compete at some, I don't know, in a CrossFit competition, or compete rock climbing, or compete like in anything. It doesn't matter, snowboarding, skiing, whatever. So the difference between weight loss and performance based approach and vitality based approach: one is driven by fear, the other is driven by love. So weight loss and performance based activities, or approaches, like I said, they're driven by fear. They're driven by a feeling of, like for weight loss, it's I need to look this way in order to feel good enough, or in order to love myself, um, or in order to be accepted by, society, or in order to feel like I fit in, so, or if it's performance based, it's, I need to achieve this outcome, to feel proud of myself, or to feel good enough, or to get some validation, to get a little, pat on the back from somebody saying, hey, wow, you're so strong, like, man, you must work so hard, so it's like we do these things, these weight loss and performance based measures. They're driven by fear. They're driven by unworthiness, a feeling of lack, a feeling like I'm not enough unless I do this thing, right? Unless I look this way or I achieve this outcome. And that's where the problem is, right? Is that because there's no that like there's very low self-worth and very low self-love for themselves, they reject themselves, they reject their feelings, they don't listen to how they feel, and they go against their own feelings, and they force themselves to not eat, they force themselves to work out, they force themselves to do things when they're tired. They put pressure on themselves to I don't know, like to hit a certain amount of weight, or they put pressure on themselves to run a certain time trial, of a mile, or pressure to look a certain way, or to hit a certain body weight, to lose a pound a week or something like that, or to not eat until 11 a.m. for to fast for like 14 hours, right? There's all this pressure and force, and it's guided by rules and plans. Weight loss approach and performance based approach, it's always guided by like, you need to follow these rules, or you need to follow this structure, or you need to follow this plan in order to achieve it, right? And so, and yeah, like that's that's just kind of what's required in those categories, in that kind of approach. But as a result, because you're always forcing yourself and always putting that pressure and never listening to your feelings, you just feel like shit. You really do. Like and some people feel like shit like a lot sooner than others. um like some people can compete for 10 years, 20 years, and then they're like, all right, I gotta cut it. Like I'm always hurting, I'm always tired, like I'm not sleeping well, I'm getting injured all the time, my digestion's off, like they just feel like shit. And with weight loss, some people can diet for a year, and then what happens is they usually binge, like it always comes back, like that energy. If you like, the harder you push in one direction, the more that energy is just going to come back and hit you, and so you usually like binge, or like you yo-yo. This is where the yo-yo thing comes from. So it's not sustainable is what I'm saying. It's not sustainable, and it's not enjoyable. So but that's kind of like the difference, right? Like one is driven by fear of like and unworthiness, feeling of like I need to look this way in order to feel enough, or I need to achieve this outcome in order to feel enough. And vitality is very different. Okay, it's now coming from a place of I am already enough, I am perfect, like I am worthy of love, I am deserving of love, I deserve to take care of myself, and it's driven by love. Okay. um and and so every single decision that you make, literally every single decision that you make, it's not just about food and working out. It's like, what I'm going to do in my day, how much am I going to put into my day, what do I feel like doing, am I going to force myself to um shit that I don't want to do, like cook, I don't know, like cook food for the week and do dishes and do laundry and stuff like that, like, or do I actually put down, do I do the things I actually want to do, right, to keep my energy high and alive. And so it's, and this goes really deep, and we'll be talking about this in other podcasts. So but it's really coming from a place of I follow and listen to my feelings, because I deserve to be happy, I deserve to feel good. And so this approach, and especially when it comes to like, yeah, I mean, like when it comes to anything, when it comes to food, working out, rest, just life, tasks, it feels effortless. Okay. And this is like the best thing about it. So I am like freaking in love with vitality. I love it. Okay. It's like everything I've ever wanted. And I think that it's what a lot of people end up realizing that they want once they realize that weight loss and performance stuff doesn't give them what they want. So vitality feels effortless. There's no pressure, there's no force. And it's completely guided by feeling, which is why it feels so effortless. Right. So instead of forcing myself to work out a certain way or like forcing myself to follow a certain plan, like, oh, I've got to work out, Monday through Friday, it's like, oh, Thursday, I'm not feeling so hot. I'm not going to go into the gym, or maybe I go to the gym, but I just change my plan, right? Like, or I'm just going to go for a long walk. It's like you really listen to your feelings. Now, um, and the thing is that it's always enough, right? It's always coming from this place of like you learn how to you have to develop this trust with yourself, right? Because a lot of times most people don't have this trust and they don't know how to listen to their feelings. And even if they do, it's like they're afraid to actually follow their because they think it's like lazy, or they're afraid of what's going to happen if they don't go to the gym, because they're so used to like trying to control. So this trust needs to get something that's built. It needs to, you need to build that, develop that. And you also need to learn how to develop the ability to feel. And I don't mean like feeling your emotions. I mean feeling from like a really deep inner space of what your body actually needs, like what is going to make it feel its best. So this is where kind of like the tricky part comes in, because most people have not like they don't know what it's like to feel, right? Because they've been following plans and structures for so long that they've completely become disconnected from how their body actually feels and how to take care of it, right? Because they've just been forcing themselves to follow a plan or do what this coach says or fast for 14 hours or whatever, So this takes time to develop, right? And this is like essentially what we want in my self mastery program is, I mean, this stuff, obviously. So yeah, so that's a little bit about the difference. Now, people with high vitality, you will these people, just like with any people, right? Like people who do diets, or people who like where looking skinny is like the most important thing to them, they will think a certain way, right? And they'll feel a certain way around food, and they'll feel a certain way around workouts, and they live a certain way, right? Just like people who are all about competing and like being the best at something, being the best at sports or something, they will think a certain way, they'll feel a certain way, and they'll live a certain way, right? Like everything's like, if you're a weight loss, it's like, oh, like you're going to be super afraid of food, right? And you're going to track and count and obsess on all that. And then you're going to like force yourself to the gym, and, it's all going to be about like burning calories and stuff like that, right? If you're a performance, like obviously like the way you think is like, oh, I've got to go into the gym, and I have to, I need to, I need to lift harder, I need to go faster, I need to be stronger, you know and that's kind of like the way you live, right? And everything's probably tracked and geared around winning. Now vitality, just same thing, right? They People who are taking that vitality based approach, they're going to think a certain way, feel a certain way, and live a certain way. Um, so I want to just go over kind of like what that looks like, because I think that's super important for you to see the difference. So when it comes to food, we'll go through like food, exercise, body, and rest, okay, and life stuff. So food, people who are after high vitality, or people who are living that vitality based approach. And by the way, I just want to say like everything that I'm going to speak about, and everything that I try to embody is on a mastery level. So I'm not like dipping my toe into vitality. I'm not, I'm like all in. Like, I that's just the way I am, right? I don't kind of like do things halfway. If I'm gonna do something, it's like I'm committing and dedicating myself to it, and I want to just immerse myself into it, right? I want to really live it. I don't want to just like understand it. Like I want to master it. Okay. So everything that I'm about to say, it like surrounded myself with people that have mastered vitality. And so the things that you're going to hear is going to be a reflection of people who have mastered vitality. Okay. Okay. So around food, these people, they see food as a sacred offering to themselves. Okay. It's not just like it's not like just food, right? Like they think about where the food comes from. They they really when they make their food, they put intention behind it, like, oh, I want this food to nourish me with life and love and vitality and energy, or I want this food to cleanse me. Like, they really see food as like a sacred offering to themselves. Like, they don't just to eat. They're very much aware of what they're consuming, how much they're consuming, and why they're consuming it. Okay. Um, and there's no, like, they allow all foods into their diet. Like, people who are taking this vitality based approach, there is no rules, right? There's no rules around food. There's no structures. There's no plans. It all comes from a genuine, deep desire to feel my absolute best. Okay. So we allow all foods. We don't see food as good or bad, right or wrong, but rather we just look at food as what food is going to make me feel good and what foods don't make me feel good. Like, that's really what it comes down to. Okay. So it's not a good food or a bad food. Same with, like, alcohol. It's not good or bad at all. It's just like, it does this. Is this gonna, like, is this the way I want to feel? How will this make me feel? And is this what I want? Okay. Because sometimes, like I'll go out with my husband and we'll have some drinks, and it's like very conscious. I'm very much choosing to have drinks because I want to have a particular experience. Um, and it doesn't mean that, like, I don't get obsessed around, like, it being a toxin for my body. I mean, it's like, if that was the case, like, stress is is just as toxic, if not more toxic. So we don't get obsessive about those kind of things, right? Um, but I mean, with that said, I mean, it's like 99% of my decisions are decisions that are going to make me feel, um, you know, high energy, feel alive, feel good. And it's the question that we really ask is, when we eat, we ask ourselves, what food will make me feel my best right now? Right? What food's going to make me feel my lightest, my most vibrant, my most alert, my most alive? What's going to make me feel the most connected to myself? What's going to make me feel good? And so that's what's driving our decisions with food. There's no, like, what I should eat or have to eat or need to eat. All of that just there's that's again just creating like, that's just creating like resistance, and just kind of like tension in the body, this feeling of like right and wrong. It's like good and bad. It's coming from a place of fear, and as opposed to, like, vitality, like I said, it always comes from a place of love. So we're not afraid of foods. It's just, what, I love myself so much, and I want to treat myself with the best that I can. So what's going to make me feel my best? So with that said, we tend to choose whole natural foods because they're full of micronutrients, and they're going to help operate or allow the body to operate optimally. Um, and so, these foods are going to be foods that just have a high vibration, a high frequency. And what I mean by that is, these foods are, high vibrational foods are those that are the most alive, right? That are the most closest to nature. And also going to be, like, the quicker that they are from the seed or where they were grown to your table, like, the higher vibration it has, the higher frequency it has, and you absorb that frequency when when you consume that food. So the higher vibrational, highest frequency foods are going to be the ones that you actually probably grow yourself, and organically. And it's also going to be things that tend to be, like, a little bit more lighter, like fruits and vegetables, mainly because you know it's um you're getting that energy from the sunlight, the nourishment from the soil, and then you're getting all the energy that's actually put into the plant, that when you grow it too, like the love and care. So it really it also, like, the vibration increases when you're buying things that are grown from somebody or yourself that has put love and care into it, and that has a direct effect on your frequency, on your vibration, on your vitality. So we also see food as a way to enhance how, how alive our body feels. Like, that's kind of the goal. Um, and we tend to avoid processed foods, but again, not necessarily because they're bad, but rather because of the way it makes me feel. So it's like, I still like I consume mainly fruits and veggies and lean meats, but there I also include crackers. Like I do rice cakes, some other crackers because they don't make me feel good, and actually they make me feel better. I can even have bread. Like bread is fine. Like my body's okay with it. However, on the flip side, even though like broccoli and cauliflower is super, is close to nature, and would consider to be a high frequency food, it doesn't actually make me feel good. So I tend to avoid, you know, like a certain amount of like broccoli and cauliflower because of the way it makes me feel. Okay, so it's very individual based. So there's again like there's no right or wrong. It's more based on the particular individual. We honor our cravings because ignoring our cravings will just send us out of control. Will just send us out of balance. So if I ignore my craving for chocolate, for example, like I really love chocolate. It creates this deprivation within me, and personally, I just know from experience that it's just a matter of time till I get my hands on like kind of like the junkier kind of chocolate, right? Like the processed chocolate, like Hershey's or, pastries and stuff like that. So it's important for me to keep chocolate in, but I usually take like the more natural kind, right? But what I'm pointing out to is I honor my cravings. I honor my craving for chocolate, or maybe I have a craving for even pizza just because it's like I need the carbs, or I have a craving for cheese, like cheese and crackers or something like that. I honor that, and I know the difference between like when my body actually feels like it needs that to feel its best, and when it's just like an emotional, like I'm just going to it for emotional purposes, to self-soothe, or to comfort myself, or to for joy or something like that. Okay. um, and we seek foods that really balance us, right? So we're always trying to figure out like what's going to make me bring me back to balance, what's going to make me feel my best. That's because that's when we're balanced, we feel our best. So it's like if I'm super hot, I'm going to eat cooling foods. If I'm super cold, I'll eat warmer foods. People who are of thinner nature, like they may eat more thicker, denser foods such as squashes and potatoes and meats. um, if somebody's like a little bit on a heavier side, they may want foods that are lighter, like fruits and salads and stuff like that. And again, the intention is not to gain or lose weight, but rather to seek balance in the body. That's what we're always after. So that's just kind of some ideas like when it comes to food, right? Obviously there's no counting, there's no measuring or anything. It's always it's coming from a deep know it like feeling connection to your body of how do I feel, how much food do I need, based on what I'm doing today, or just based on how I feel right now. And it's a developing this trust. um Now let's go ahead and move into exercise. So people who are on this vitality based approach, we think of exercise as a way to move and enhance our energy instead of as a way to burn calories or get skinny or gain muscle or be faster, to for performance measure. Okay. So um yeah, so it's like it's really fun, actually. It's like it's almost like an art, like really understanding your body so intimately, where you know that okay, right now I need to move, or this is what's going to be best for my body today. Like maybe today I feel like lifting heavy, like I feel like I need to, I feel like I want to lift heavy, or I feel like I want to run fast, or maybe I want to just take a long slow walk, or maybe today it's just a sauna day and I'm just going to stretch all day. So it's really understanding your body on an intimate level to give yourself, what you need to feel your best. And then likewise, not forcing ourselves to follow schedules or plans or programs, because again, that would go against our feelings. So it's okay to have like a basic structure. Like I have a structure of like where I move every morning, I move every day, mostly. There are days where I'm just like, I don't feel like doing anything. But I'd say like, 9 out of 10 times I'm moving my body. But how I move and how long I move for depends on how I feel that day. So structure is good, but we need the ability to actually break the structure. And that's where you start to get into this vitality based approach, and allowing that feeling of your body to guide you. Okay. So yeah. So we choose movements that we really enjoy doing, right? That we enjoy doing and that we also feel like our body wants to do, right? We're not going to force ourselves. I'm not going to force myself to like, do heavy squats if my legs feel like trash, or I'm not going to, you know, I don't know, just, I'm not going to go run if I don't feel like running. Like, really, it comes down to that. There's so many things that you can do. So, like, fitness doesn't have to look a certain way. And it's really the more that you can follow that feeling of what your heart actually wants to do, the more effortless it becomes because there's no pressure, there's no forcing, there's no willing yourself to have to get through it. Um, and but at the same time I also want to say that, like, when it comes to mastery, it's also making sure that you don't avoid challenge, right? um like, challenge, we seek challenge when we want to seek challenge, right? When it's like, oh, you know what, I feel like really challenging myself. But when we see that challenge as a way to understand ourselves, we see exercise as a way to understand ourselves and to improve ourselves internally, not externally. It's like really understanding, oh, okay, like, oh, this my body is starting to scream, like these sensations, the burning in my muscles, the lack of air in my lungs, like I can feel all these things. And it's learning how to allow that energy to move through you and not be so consumed by it, not let it make you panic or be frantic, or make yourself stop. Like, it's, be aware of how you're thinking. Do you start to think like, oh, this is hard, I don't want to do this, it's going to take forever? Like, it's learning how to really master your internal world, as you're doing as you're moving, right? As you're doing exercise, which is super, I think I nerd out on that stuff. It's super cool to me. Um, but we make sure that we don't, we're not overloading ourselves with that challenge, right? It's always like, if you want to work hard, you got to rest harder, right? You've got to have that balance. We also, like, so as a result of like learning how to master our internal world and also learning how to follow our feelings, um, we move with ease, right? And I'm talking on a mastery level. Like, there's no force ever, okay? And this obviously takes time to master, right? It takes a lot of time. But we get to a place where you can move without effort. You can run a 5K and it not feel effort, not feel like you're putting effort into it. You can do CrossFit and it doesn't feel like effort. It's like the energy is just moving through. It's like your body's just moving because you've learned how to master your internal world so well. You've learned how to move the energy through you so that it doesn't get built up or dammed up, and your muscles are tied and you're like freaking out in the head and stuff like that. So and it's, yeah, it's we like essentially train ourselves to feel calm, and detach ourselves from those sensations that a lot of people tend to run from, right? And yeah, so it's when we're moving, it's like we move in a completely relaxed state. Like, that's mastery. It's learning how to balance the masculine and the feminine. It's learning how to balance the doing and the non-doing. It's like, I'm doing this physically, yes, it looks like I'm actually working out, but internally there's like very little effort going on, which is just super cool. um and so as a result, we can go forever. Like, there's just times where, I mean, it's crazy actually. I like, there's days where I feel like I can literally just go all day long, like CrossFit or hiking or like running or walking. It's like this energy just moves through me because there is no force. It's so cool. And like, when you do that right, like, a lot of times if people are working out a lot, you'll get super hungry when you're forcing. But if you're not forcing your movement, it becomes nourishing. It's like energy restoring, as opposed to energy draining, right? It's not like I'm tired afterwards. It's like I feel invigorated with energy, and therefore I need less food. And so this is where you can actually start to become, you can achieve that look that maybe you like, right? But again, it's not the focus. So yes, you can be, lean, but it's not the focus. But it comes from learning how to master this internal world, so that it's not taking energy from you. In fact, it's giving you energy, and therefore you don't need energy from food. Super cool. um yeah, and so it's just, it's a constant balance. It's constantly learning how to master this stuff. It's a constant learning how to master balance of work with rest, and also learning how to balance, like, what does my body need, right? Does it need strength today, agility, power, flexibility, speed, endurance, something slow? Does it not need to move like at all, or it's like just meditate all day, so it's really being aware, which takes time, right? So that's it for exercise. Now I wanted to go into rest. So people of who are taking this vitality based approach, mastery based vitality, we know when we need to rest, and we do not ignore our feelings when the body needs rest. Okay. So it's, we can actually feel when we need the rest before we hit a wall. Okay. And this is really, this obviously takes time, right? Because you got to hit the wall and you're like, oh shit, I hit the wall. And you got to learn, like, so it's always, it's a, it takes some time to really understand. And it's a forever journey. Like, I haven't mastered it full, completely. Nobody, I think, like, the body's not like the same way every single day. So it's like you really just have to, it's just, yeah, it's something that you're always learning. You're always creating a deeper connection with yourself. But the point is that you always feel good, right? So it's like, I want to make sure I take the rest before I hit this wall so that I always feel good, right? I don't feel like I have to recoup, because we've all experienced that, those days where it's like we push ourselves, and we just push ourselves to the brink, right? And we're like, we usually do it purposely too, because we're like, we think like harder is better. But what happens is, if you push yourself too hard, like, you overspend your energy, which then you're like overly hungry, like later that day. You're overtired, right, that day or the next day. Maybe like your body's like super sore, so you don't even want to move the next day. So it's like you flip flop, right? And this used to be me all the time, actually. Now that I think back to it, God, I used to do this all the time. Um, yeah, so it's like you over push yourself because you think that's the best, and you think like, oh, I can handle it today or whatever. And then like you always you always have to pay the consequence the next day or even that week. It's like, depending on how bad you push yourself. So we want to make sure, mastery comes from like really understanding, okay, I'm not going to, this is my stopping point. And that changed like day to day, right? It's going to change moment to moment. So it's, yeah, it's always, it's being aware, right? And the point is to really take care of ourselves, however that looks that day, right? So if, like, for example, like lately what I've been really into is coloring, like, so that can be something that is very nourishing to me, so it's like I've got to be aware of, okay, this is kind of my limit today as far as like movement and or just even like life tasks, like work stuff, okay, I'm only going to do this, it's like being aware of when I need a break. And when I feel like I need a break, whether that be from like house duties or work duties or, exercise or something like that, it's like, okay, what do I feel like I need? And it could be breathing. Like maybe I need to sit still. Like maybe my head is like filled with like just, I don't know, it's just like busy and like dense and just from thinking, overthinking and overdoing and stuff. I mean, I don't actually feel like I overdo anything anymore, but um, yeah, so overthinking. Maybe I feel like I need to stretch. Maybe I feel like I need self massage if my body's feeling tight. Maybe I feel like I need to go take a dip in the river if I need cold therapy, or maybe I feel like I need to go into the sauna if I'm feeling like, just like I need to sweat or need some heat. Maybe I feel like I need to take a nap. Maybe I feel like I need to color or take a bath, or, there's all these things that we can do that are nourishing. Like, I mean, even cleaning the house can actually be super nourishing for me, like it's just it's being aware of like when I actually want to do it. That's the thing. It's like cleaning the house or doing the dishes, like everything can be nourishing, so long as you're doing it when you want to do it. It's as soon as you force yourself, tell yourself that I need to do it or have to do it, does it become energy draining, and that's just gonna, you're just gonna overspend that energy. Your energy is just leaking out. So that would just make you more tired. So again, it's like, aware of how do I feel and what do I need in order to keep my energy at its peak, right? And also, like, another thing that is, I've played with this a little bit, and I'm probably going to dive deeper into it this year at the end of the year. But a lot of times, people of like mastery level are training seasonally. So they train seasonally with nature because we really are nature. We aren't these linear beings that we've kind of been brought up to be. Like it's not, we don't feel very good when we try to just push ourselves hard every single day, 365 days a year. It just like we're not designed to do that. Like we tap out, right? And that's what happens with a lot of people. This is why so many people get, sick, injured, they have hypothyroid, adrenal fatigue, all sorts of metabolic issues, digestion issues, is because they're forcing themselves to just be in this really sort of overwork mode all year round. So people of, high vitality and mastery level, they tend to train with seasons, right? And even kind of live even in that way too. So it's like the springtime is when it's, like the nature is starting to bloom, and that's where we start to get more active. Summertime is when we're like the most active, the most energy, the longest days. We're doing the most things, like not just in life, but with exercise and just maybe, yeah, working on your business or something like that. Fall is when things start to die off, things start to wind down. So we wind down our training. And then in the winter time, that's like downtime. It's like hibernation time. So this is when you'll see a lot of people just kind of doing a lot more meditation, maybe a lot more yoga, sleeping, yeah, and doing very little work, with their business. And when you follow this, you really allow yourself to feel good all year round. It's not like you're ever waiting for like that break. It's kind of like a lot of people think, oh, I just need a vacation. Well, if you learned how to listen and train with nature and listen to your body, you would never need a vacation because you're really taking care of yourself in that way. So that's it with rest. Now with the body, I just want to share a couple things. Is that these people that are taking this vitality based approach, they see their body as a temple. Okay, they treat their body like a temple. It is sacred. Their body is sacred. They appreciate their body to the nth degree. Okay. um and we have so much love, so much care, so much respect, so much appreciation for this body that, like I said, every single one of our decisions, not just food, not just exercise, not just rest, it's like, how much am I doing today? How much am I putting in my day? What am I doing? And it's like who am I hanging with, and what conversations do I talk about, like what music do I listen to? It's like it's everything. We are aware of all these things because they all affect the way that we feel. Okay. um and so it's really honoring yourself in a very high manner. And this is something that we've been super disconnected to, because most people, for like, my experience, and the people that I work with, they don't know, they don't know what love feels like. We haven't been taught what self-care is, because for most people are operating from a place of, I'm not good enough, or I don't have enough, or I need to look this way, I need to make this certain amount of money, I need to do all these things. They're constantly overriding themselves, overriding how they feel, in order to feel enough, in order to, I don't know, to be liked by people, in order to feel needed, right? Like a lot of women tend to like just do things for the family, like, and do things for others because they like to feel needed or important. Or maybe there's a fear of like, yeah, I mean, there's no self-love, right? There's very little self-love, and a deep disconnection from self-love and self-worth. And so this has to be retrained. Like, and this is literally what we do inside my coaching programs, is like literally retrain you from the ground up how to take care of yourself and see yourself as worthy of that care. So yeah, and that way, because you have to be able to love yourself to want to actually, you got to be able to appreciate yourself to the nth degree to be able to, like, make these decisions to live in this way. But as far as the body goes, like we don't really care how it looks. I mean, obviously we obviously that we don't want it to be like, overweight or anything like that, but it's not about being a certain look. It's not about being shredded or having my abs look a certain way or my muscles pop out or anything like that. It's all about how I feel. And it's like we want our body to feel strong, we want it to feel agile, flexible, powerful, open, loose. We want it to be capable of doing anything. Okay, so that it's like we're not limited by our body. We can live and appreciate life to the fullest because we have a body that is capable of doing anything. Um, and so we're very mindful because we don't want it to feel tight. We don't want it to feel achy or have pains or headaches or stomach aches or poor digestion or low energy or heavy or sluggish or anything like that. Okay. So it's like we're very mindful of what we're doing, why we're doing it, what impact it's going to have on our body. And so it's really become like an art, a dedication to doing things and living in a certain way that makes us feel our best. And yeah, and so let's see, I have some other notes. Okay, so and then yeah, when it comes to life, like again, like I said, it's we're very particular about who we give our time and energy to, right? Because if we're giving our time and energy to other people or to clients or to our husbands or our wives or our kids, like if we're giving our energy too much to others, then that leaves no energy for us to give to ourselves. So it's really learning. You got to learn how to nourish yourself first and then give yourself to others. It's definitely, it's not selfish, it's self-serving. It's like I serve myself first. And as a result of me serving myself and taking the best care of myself, I teach others how to take care of themselves. And I can give my best self to others, right? Because if I feel crappy and like headache and achy or, irritated and stressed, like I don't have much to give. It's like more, I'm just like in the same room with somebody. And it's like, I really don't even want to be there. Like there's no connection, right? So that you don't, there's no exchange of energy. Like I mean there is, but like there's not a positive exchange of energy, right? So yeah, so we tend to orient our day and our life with people and things that number one make us feel good, and also uh people and things that will improve our energy. So it's like hanging out with the people that are on the same path, or we don't put ourselves around people who are talking about just superficial stuff that doesn't matter, like the weather, or people who are draining, who are constantly bitching and complaining about work or their partner or their body, or how life's not fair. Like we don't we don't allow ourselves to be around that, because that frequency, that energy can, like, it's just natural, right? Like it'll impact our frequency, our energy. It's just like when you're around stressed people, it's like all of a sudden you start to feel stressed, or when you're around angry people, it's like, oh, you kind of start to feel like angry. And when you're around happy people or peaceful people, you start to feel happy, you start to feel peaceful. So it's like you gotta and that's just the way that we are. We're energetic beings that we feel just like dragonflies. When one glows, they all glow. So I mean, we can strengthen that and make sure that we can be around, like, low frequency people and keep our vibration high, but that takes time to master. So we're just very aware, right? We spend a little time with these kind of lower frequency people, or that drain our energy, foods that drain our energy, activities that drain our energy. And 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 we also are very mindful of, like, not to cram things into our day, right? We don't cram our day into with a bunch of stuff. We don't rush from one thing to the next, because that would be very disrespectful to ourselves, right? Putting ourselves in overwhelming states and anxious states. So we don't multitask, right? Because when that's just going to create anxiety, that's just going to create resistance when you're trying to do two things at once, or when you're thinking one thing, your body's doing another. So for example, it's like maybe I'm thinking about what I need to make later for dinner and I'm washing the dishes right now. It's like I wouldn't actually, and you can take this to whatever level you want, But ideally, like the most flow and the most balance comes when your mind and body are in unison. So it's like doing one thing at a time and allowing your mind and body to be focused on that one thing. We allow time between errands as a form of self-respect. It's not like, it's very disrespectful to yourself if you're rushing from one thing to the next and like just, not preparing yourself for the next thing that you're about to do. Maybe you're about to hop on a call or you're about to go into a workout. It's like we want to prepare ourselves for those things as opposed to just constantly be in this state of like panic, right? Um, yeah, and like I said, we follow our heart's desires of like doing what we want to do instead of what we think we like or what we believe we should do or need to do or would be good to do. And so because we're not going against our feelings, we create higher energy levels. And we we don't yeah, so the other big thing as far as the mastery level goes is we often don't need much, right? We don't need a bunch of money. We don't need a bunch of like we don't need new clothes. We don't need the nicest car because if we were needing those things, that means that we need to work more, right? We need to spend more time on working and making more money as and taking care of these things as opposed to putting that time and energy into taking care of our physical health and our bodies. So we tend to just not see the need for anything. It's okay to have those things, but we don't we don't make it like the main thing, right? We don't see as like important. Okay. And we tend to build a lot of downtime into our life, which allows us to relax, right? So there's like, there's we don't cram all that stuff into our day. And instead, it's like maybe I do one thing a day, like one main thing. And that allows me to really listen to my body, take things slow, be peaceful, recover, enjoy life and take the time to just be really aware and of where I'm at all times. How do I feel and like what sort of things are moving through me? What emotions? What is my mind thinking? Because that will all create a lot of stress. So basically what it comes down to is the most important thing to us is our mental and physical health. It like the most important thing is knowing vitality in our body, peace in our mind, and love in our hearts. Like that is what we want. We believe, uh, you know, from my experience of all these different traditions of that focus on vitality in the body, that's basically what it comes down to, and that's how we create the highest energy states, higher energetic states, and most highest health and well-being in the body. So how do we actually do that? um I think actually we're gonna save that for another podcast. So that is vitality. I was gonna go into how to create vitality, but I think that'd be too long. I think you guys are probably are ready to move on. And that way I can dive in a little bit deeper too, as well, on how to create vitality. So um yeah, so that's gonna be basically it. So and if this is something that you're looking for, this feeling, like I said, vitality in the body, peace in the mind, love in your heart, feeling, effortless movement, just connected to yourself and wanting to honor yourself, respect yourself, and making everything like an action of love. Um, then this is literally what I do inside the self mastery program. This is what it's all about. And we have one group coaching programs available. So if you're interested in pursuing peak health and vitality, and most importantly, you are in a position where you are willing to do the work that is required, email me or message me on Instagram and we can see if one of my programs would be a good fit for you. Okay. Awesome. Thank you so much. Much love. And we'll see you guys later. Bye.